Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to share with you guys my best tips and the strategies I have been using to win almost every single game in chess TD. This is the final synergy that I've been using all my games, which you can always complete if you follow my strategy. The final synergy is 4 undead, 2 beasts, 1 Zask and 1 Kaja. If you manage to level up to 9, then you can either add another Zask, undead unit, Kaja or even carry. This synergy I find it the most consistent, that is the easiest to complete and is the most powerful compared to other synergies. I will explain why later on the video. At the start of the game, always buy what you need for the final synergy. If you don't see anything, then the next priority will be support units or moral units. Support units are very good for the early game, they will somewhat carry you until mid game. Also, if you can manage to get moral synergy in the early game, then your endgame is pretty much secure. The moral synergy will give you 1 to 4 extra coins every round. If you don't see any of those, then buy any pairs or tier 1 units. By tier 1 units, I mean the units that only cost you 1 gold and has no border. Tier 2 units will be those that have green border and cost you 2 gold. Tier 3 is teal color, and tier 4 is purple. Why tier 1 units and not tier 2? Because when you sell tier 1 units 2 star, you can get the full refund back, but the tier 2 and above you won't. Try to keep as many pairs as possible in the early game if it's not affecting your gold interest. Whatever units that you can make to 2 star is pretty good in the early game. For those who don't know, every 10 gold will give you 1 extra gold of interest per round. So if you have saved up 40 gold, that's extra 4 gold of interest per round. The maximum is 4 gold interest. Don't be a donkey and start rolling non-stop in the early game to level up those 3-star units. It is not worthy, since it depends too much on luck. If you think this strategy is good because you think you can end the game fast, then you are depending too much on luck and you are probably playing with others who don't really know how to play either, and are not defending properly. This is how I prioritize when it's time to select an attack buff. Buff that affect as many units as possible for my final synergy. The highest buff level. Buff that gives crowd control immunity or resilience. First unit and last unit buff. They usually are very good. Movement speed and then HP. In the early game, level up only when you need 4 gold. From early to mid game, the most important thing is try to save up 40 gold as soon as possible to have the maximum interest in each round, and use whatever is left to level up to 8 as soon as possible. You want to be level 8 first and then reroll, because you will have a more higher chance to get tier 3 units such as Leomord, Zaz, Roger and Minotaur. If possible, I usually like to maintain 40 gold and use the rest to reroll. Unless I'm really desperate and dying and a lot of my units are still 1 stars, then I will use more gold to stabilize. Now let's talk a little bit about the other synergies. Some people recommend some other synergy, such as the perma stuns with the royals, assassins, and cyborg. The problem with this synergy is that if you're playing against good player, then they will most likely choose attack buff that makes them immune or resilient to crowd control, so in the late game, the perma stun won't really work. The other best synergies, such as 6 mages and oracle combo, or the 6 marksman synergy, they both require 6 of the same synergy to even be good, so they are not very consistent to complete in every single game. Maybe one game you get super lucky and then you get the 6 unit for the synergy very early, but then the next game you won't be as lucky. I also have tried all the other synergies as well, but the most consistent synergy is definitely the undead synergy. You only need 4 units of the same synergy to be as deadly as the other best synergy. By the way, the best 2 units that you should always buy, regardless of your final synergy, are Zaz and Kaja. The damage from Zaz turret and the slow from Kaja are the best thing in this game. The Zaz turret placement is a little bit tricky, you got to play a little bit with the positioning, but you should always play Zaz as close to the spawn gate as possible, so he can summon his turret right away. Try to position Kufra and Moskov in a way that when they use their skill, they can push the minions more toward the start of the line. If you have the mortal synergy and you're not losing much HP, then keep it until you feel like it's time to transition to the final synergy. Those extra gold per rounds are very important, but when you see that you are starting to lose a lot of HP, then it's time to replace them with your final synergy, which you should have been collecting throughout the game. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.